Welcome friends. Now we are going to start with the previous year GATE questions. So let us start with the one mark question. So now question number 1. The penetration is increased by. The penetration is increased by. See, listen carefully. I am not going to write the entire question. Just listen. The penetration is increased by. Option number 1, increasing the welding current and welding speed. So this is what given, penetration increased by. So this is question number 1. So option A, increasing the welding current and increasing the welding speed. Option B, increasing the current and decreasing the speed of welding. Option C, decreasing the welding current and decreasing the welding speed. And option D, decreasing the current and increasing the welding speed. So we have learned in the arc welding that if you want to have the maximum penetration, then the current conditions should get increased, and to keep the arc at a single position or particular point for more amount of time to get that penetration, you should minimize the welding speed. So the correct option is what? You should increase the current and decrease the welding speed. That is the correct thing. So next question is that for gas welding a particular job using neutral oxyacetylene flame, the acetylene consumption was 10 liters. The oxygen consumption from the cylinder in liters will be. So what is given? Gas welding is given, and gas welding, what they are using the neutral flame, and they are saying that the acetylene consumption from the acetylene cylinder was 10 liters. Then how much the consumption of the oxygen from the oxygen cylinder? So in neutral flame, you know that what is this ratio? O2 to C2H2, it is 1:1. So definitely जितना एसिटिलीन है उतना ही क्या लगेगा वहां पे? ऑक्सीजन लगेगा. ओके, सो ऑप्शंस आर 5 liter, 10 liter, 15 liter and 20 liter. So of course 10 liter अगर एसिटिलीन लिया है, then definitely oxygen also will require 10 liters. Okay, so 10 liter is correct answer. Next, for resistance spot welding of 1.5 millimeter thick steel sheets, the current required is of the order. I already mentioned this during this resistance welding. This is the standard type question. So for 1.5 millimeter thick steel sheet, we are requiring the current around 10,000 amperes. Okay, and actual range of these current conditions in this resistance welding is very high. Say we are taking standard range from 9,000 to 12,000 amperes. No doubt it is going up to 40-50,000 amperes, but this is the standard range from 9,000 ampere to 12,000 ampere. So for 1.5 mm steel sheet, it is 10,000. It is in the option 10,000 ampere is the correct answer. So 10 ampere, 100 ampere, 1000 ampere and 10,000 ampere. So basic thing, we know that resistance welding is low voltage and very high current requiring operation, isn't it? So 10,000 is the correct answer. So next question, in DC welding, let us discuss here. What is given? In DC welding, the straight polarity results in okay, so options are lower penetration. Definitely it is wrong, because direct current electronegative, that is straight polarity. In straight polarity, what is happening? we know already. If this is the power source, so this is the electrode and this is the work, we discussed already. So electrode negative, here it is given, that is straight polarity, and work is positive. So definitely flow of electrons from where to where? From cathode to anode. This is the work is anode and electrode is cathode. So we already discussed the features of this direct current straight polarity, direct current reverse polarity in the videos. Okay, so option B is what? Lower deposition rate. It seems to be okay, because here maximum heat is going to get onto the work. So the electrode having the negative terminal, so the deposition rate from the electrode is minimum. Okay, option C, the less heating at the work. No, we are get the maximum heat at the work only, so this is also not correct. And option D, smaller weld pool. No, because we are having the maximum heat on the workpiece, so weld pool is also bigger. Okay, so definitely what is the correct option? It is lesser deposition rate. Okay, in case of, say, we already discussed the MIG welding, we are providing there is a wire electrode that is going to consume during the process. So definitely what we are intentionally doing there, we are keeping that electrode as a positive, so that what happen, the wire can melt easily, we will get the maximum deposition rate from that wire onto the workpiece. Okay, so less penetration, no, we are getting maximum penetration in straight polarity, that is electrode negative. We are having maximum heat at the work, we are having the bigger weld pool, but the deposition rate is lesser. Okay, so that is the thing. In case of reverse polarity, we are getting the less penetration, we are getting the less heating of the work, we are getting the bigger weld pools, isn't it? Sorry, we are getting the smaller weld pool. And of course the deposition rate is very high, as the electrode also get consuming, we are getting the maximum deposition rate from the electrode. So this is the main difference in straight polarity and reverse polarity, we already discussed. Next question, the electrodes used in the arc welding are coated. This is not expected to. What is given? The electrodes used in the welding arc, the electrodes used in the arc welding are, see here, what is the question? The electrodes used in the arc welding are coated. This is not expected to. Options are provide protective atmosphere to the weld, stabilize the arc, add the alloying element, and prevent the electrode from contamination. See, we have seen this in the video of electrodes in the arc welding, that there are two types of electrode, one is consumable, another is non-consumable. In consumable electrodes, we are providing the coatings, and we have seen what are the advantages of that coating. So what these coatings are doing, so it is deoxidizing the melt, it is forming a slag or a weld pool, then it can absorb the various gases. Okay, in addition to that, they are stabilizing the arc, also they are giving some additional alloying element into the weld, we have seen this. So yes, provide the protective shielding or protective atmosphere to the weld by the shielding, stabilizes the arc, add the alloying elements. See, this is the option D, prevent the electrode from the contamination. See, that is a question of electrode. that how you are using it. So it is the making problem of electrode, it is not the issue of the coating over it. Okay, so basically the coatings are added onto the electrodes to get these advantages, yes or no? So prevent the electrode from contamination, it is not the advantages of the coating provided on the electrode. Okay, so this all we are doing for the weld our weld pool, okay, not for the electrode, please remember this. So this is not expected from the coating, please remember. So option D is correct answer. Preheating before welding is done to, see what is question on preheating. Preheating before welding is done to. So options are make steel soft, make steel soft. Option B, burn away oil, grease, etc. from the plate. Option C, prevent cold cracks, prevent plate distortions. See, so preheating and post heating that we are carrying out in the welding process. So actually whenever there are the hot cracks, okay, or the cold cracks are present into the weld, so it is get minimized, or to have the remedy for that is that actually post heating of the weld. Okay, so here actually the preheating I already mentioned there, that it is basically used for increasing the initial temperature conditions of the plate when you are going for a welding of a very high temperature material, say for example the cast irons. So cast irons, the melting point is very huge, around 16, more than 1600 degrees centigrade. So to weld such a materials, what we are doing, we are using this preheating technique. But preheating technique basically also do the very basic function is that, so because of the preheating, whatever the grease or oils or dust which are present on the plates, that get clean. Okay, so it will burn away oil, greases, etc. from the plate. That is more correct when we talk about the preheating. Okay, so actually this preventing cold cracks and preventing the place distortion, for that we are post heating the weld, okay, to minimize that distortion or minimize that cold cracks into the weld. So preheating basically done for burn away the oil, greases, etc. from the plates. This thing we have discussed in the defects in welding, where cause and remedies are discussed. Two plates of same metal having equal thickness are butt welded with the electric arc. When the plate thickness changes, welding is achieved by. So two plates again in arc welding, in butt position they are welding. Now what they are saying, that when the plate thickness changes, the welding is achieved by, the plate thickness is changed here. So options are by adjusting the current, second option by adjusting the duration of current, by changing the electrode sides, or by changing the electrode coating. So please remember that in arc welding the very important controlling parameter is only the current. See, current is changes with the thickness. If thickness is goes on increasing, we have to increase the current conditions in arc welding. So which option is correct? So adjusting the current, that is the correct option. Okay, so let us have the next question. So which one of the following welding processes does not use the consumable electrode? The options are gas metal arc welding, gas tungsten arc welding, then submerged arc welding, and none of the above. So we know very well. So in TIG welding, where the tungsten is used as the non-consumable electrode, remaining other processes we are using the consumable electrode, that is gas metal arc welding. It is nothing but the MIG. This is the TIG, tungsten inert gas welding, or gas tungsten arc welding. This is submerged arc welding. So in these we are using the consumable electrode, but in tungsten inert gas welding we are using the non-consumable electrode, which is the tungsten electrode. Okay, next question. In oxyacetylene gas welding, the temperature of the inner cone of the flame is around. Okay, so the options are 3500 degrees centigrade, then 3200 degrees centigrade, 2900 degrees centigrade, and 2550 degree centigrade. So we have seen all the temperatures, average temperatures, maximum temperatures of the gas welding. In that, in every flame we have seen the temperature. Say for neutral flame, the maximum temperature is 3260 degrees centigrade. For oxyacetylene flame or oxidizing flame, it is around 3400 degrees centigrade, and for the carburizing flame it is 3040 degrees centigrade. So if you take the, of course, maximum temperature is always at the interface of the inner cone and outer cone. So if this is the inner cone of the flame and this is the outer cone of the flame, so at the interface we are having the maximum temperature. So in an average we can say for the oxyacetylene gas welding, the average temperature at the inner core of the flame is 3200 degrees centigrade. Okay, next question. The strength of brazed joint, they are asking for the strength of brazed joint. Number A, decreases with increase in gap between the two joining surfaces, increases with increase the gap between two surfaces, decreases up to certain gap between two joining surfaces, and beyond it increases. And option D, increases up to certain gap and beyond that it decreases. Okay, so this is the question, what? Strength of brazed joint. So we discussed in the soldering and brazing, and we also talk about the strength of the brazed joint. How? The graph is like this, isn't it? So the strength versus this gap between the two joining surfaces. So initially what happened? As the gap is going to increase, so filler material will reach to the maximum portion into the joint, that is wettability is going to increase, and because of increasing wettability, surface alloying tendency also going to increase. So the strength of the joint ultimately goes on increases. So it first off, as the gap increases, the wettability and the surface alloying goes on increases, that why the strength is also goes on increasing, and up to certain gap, we have seen the optimum gap is from 0.025 millimeter to 0.075 millimeter, and beyond that now the entire load is getting transferred onto the filler material, that's why the strength of this brazed joint goes on decreasing. So I hope D is the correct option. The strength increases up to a certain gap between the two workpieces, beyond which it goes on decreasing. So D is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following is a solid state welding process? We already discussed the friction welding is a solid state welding process. So options are TIG welding, resistance spot welding, submerged arc welding, and friction welding. Of course, GTAW is the arc welding, resistance spot welding is a fusion welding process with the pressure. SAW is again the arc welding. So friction welding is the solid state welding process. Okay, so where one part is stationary, it is aligned with the one rotary part having the RPM around 1500, and we are taking this non-stationary part onto the rotating part, so that the first of all rubbing action will cause, that will clean out the surface, and then we are applying the pressure. So the because of the friction, the two pieces are reached up to the melting point and we are getting the joint. This is the friction welding, that is solid state welding process. So next question is, which one of the following welding processes uses non-consumable electrode? Again, this is repeated question in 2011. So of course, TIG welding, we know that. So go ahead. The major difficulty during the welding of the aluminum is due to its, this is question in ME 2014. So what is the question? The major difficulty during welding of the aluminum is due to its, option A, high tendency of oxidation, option B, high thermal conductivity, option C, low melting point, and option D, low density. So the thing is that, very importantly, many times we discuss that the aluminum and magnesium, these are highly reactive materials, and if you go for welding these processes without any proper shielding over that, then definitely the molten material get react with the oxides or oxygen and form the oxides. Okay, so oxidation is the big tendency of the highly reactive materials, that is for aluminum and magnesium, and that is the main difficulty in during the welding of the aluminum. Okay, so the correct answer is what? The high tendency of oxidation. The high tendency of oxidation is main difficulty for having a welding of aluminum. Okay, so next question. In solid state welding, the contamination layer between the surfaces to be welded are removed by, I repeat question, in solid state welding, the contamination layer between the surfaces to be welded are removed by, options are by alcohol, by plastic deformation, by water jet, and by sandblasting. So we already discussed in the solid state welding process that, so if you look at any welding process other than the solid welding, so we need the proper cleaning of the plates where that the joint is going to produce, so that no any dust or no any droplets of say grease or oils should be there, or that get added into the weld and contaminate our weld. So that's why we are using the alcohol cleaning, we are using the wire brushes for the cleaning. Okay, so cleaning is a must before doing the welding operation. But as in solid state welding process, what happened? The friction in the initial, the rubbing of the two work pieces, they will squeeze out the layer, contaminated layer or the corrosive layer which is present onto the two joining faces. It will get removed out, squeezed out by the rubbing action, that is by the plastic deformation. So no any need of cleaning of the workpieces before you are going for the friction welding technique, that is solid state welding technique. The impurities or contamination layer will removed in the rubbing action by the plastic deformation. So no any additional cleaning is required. Please remember this. So what is the correct answer? Yes, in solid state welding, the contamination layer between the surfaces to be welded are removed by simply plastic deformation. By water jet, by sandblasting, by alcoholic cleaning, it is for the other welding processes, or by using the wire brushes it can be done. But solid state welding, they were simply removed by the plastic deformation. Very important, please remember. Next question, within the heat affected zone in a fusion welding process, the work material undergoes, so they are asking the things about the HAZ, that is heat affected zone. Okay, so we already discussed about this heat affected zone is what? Because of the huge heat of the welding, so the adjacent part of the plate near to that weld also get affected by this heat. And what actually happened in that area, they are not going, this area not going to melt, but because of this tremendous heat, some metallurgical properties are definitely going to hamper by this heat, and that's why that region is known as the heat affected zone. So heat affected zone is melting? No, weld area actually melting. Heat affected zone is not melting, but because of that heat of welding, there are certain changes we can observe in the metallurgical properties of the material. So let us see the options. Number A, microstructure changes but does not melt. Yes, this is very correct, I hope. Let us see next option, neither melting nor microstructural change. C, both melting and microstructural changes after solidification. And option D, melting and retains the original microstructure after solidification. So there is no any question of melting because that part is not going to melt, but of course the microstructural changes are there. So this A option is very correct, that is microstructural changes but does not melt. So this is happening within the heat affected zone in fusion welding. Okay, so go for next question. Again, the PI 90 question to 1990. It is on the strength of the brace joint. With increasing the joint thickness, the tensile strength of the brace joint. Okay, joint thickness, that is increasing in the strength. So what happened about the strength they are asking? Option A, continuously decreases. No. Option B, first decrease and then increase. No. Continuously increase. No. First increase and then decrease. Strength of the brace joint is first increase and this decrease, we seen this. Okay, next question, it is match the pair type question. Here is a welding processes, and here is the heat source. So A, thermit welding, B, projection welding. So see here the next question we are having for 1 mark, that is match the pair. At one column we are having the welding process and other column we are having the heat sources. So match the pair. Thermit welding is a chemical welding process, so heat is obtained by this exothermic chemical reaction. So definitely this is the thermit welding, this is the heat source. Then for projection welding, it is nothing but the extension of spot welding, which is the category of resistance welding, and here for the heating of the joint we are using the resistance. Yes or no? So this is match with the ohmic resistance. Projection welding. MIG welding, it's definitely the arc welding, it is C. And friction welding, it is a solid state welding process where because of friction we are getting the temperature at the interface of the two plates, that is mechanical work, friction welding. Okay, so very simple process and the heat source. The next question is, in resistance seam welding the electrode is in the form of, see, in resistance spot welding we are having the electrode straight cylindrical electrode. Okay, and in the seam welding we are having the electrode in the form of circular disc, isn't it? The seam welding is nothing but what? The continuous spot welding process, isn't it? Seam welding is nothing but what? Continuous spot welding, where the thick copper electrodes are used, which is circular shape of circular disc, isn't it? So options are cylindrical, flat plate, coil of wire, and circular disc. So in resistance seam welding, the electrode is in the form of thick circular disc. Okay, so circular disc is the correct answer. Next question, in a linear arc welding process, the heat per unit length is inversely proportional to the. So in what is the question? In linear arc welding process, the heat per unit length, we know this is the heat input, net heat input in the arc welding, that is this power is equal to, or this H net is equal to this power divided by the velocity. Yes or no? That is VI divided by V. We know this H net. It is in joule per millimeter, isn't it? So they are asking, in linear arc welding process, the heat per unit length is inversely proportional to the option A, welding current, option B, welding voltage, option C, the welding speed, and option D, duty cycle of power source. So we are having the formulas here. This net heat input in this arc welding is actually proportional to the voltage, proportional to the current, but it is inversely proportional to the velocity, you can see, isn't it? So C is the correct choice. Next welding, which one of the following joining processes are autogenous? What is the question? Which one of the following processes are autogenous? Number 1, diffusion welding. So these are the process given. Second process given as electroslag welding. Option 3, TIG welding. These are not the option, these are the processes given. And friction welding. And they are asking autogenous. So option A, 1 and 4. Option B, 2 and 3. Option C, 2 and 4. And option D, 1 and 3. So dear students, what is meant by autogenous welding? So in the autogenous welding, where we are not requiring any kind of filler rod or fluxes. Please remember, autogenous welding means we are not require any kind of additional supply of molten metal from the filler rod. So see, in diffusion welding, we are not using actually any filler rod. Electroslag welding, yes, we are using. TIG welding we can use. Even in friction welding, at the time of joining, we are not providing any kind of filler material. So actually diffusion welding and friction welding are the autogenous welding processes. Diffusion welding and friction welding, 1 and 4. So 1 and 4, this option A is correct. That is, these are diffusion welding and friction welding are the autogenous welding processes. We are not supplying any kind of filler rod or additional material from the filler rod. Okay, so A is the correct answer. Next question, in a gas tungsten arc welding process, the material coated on pure tungsten electrode to enhance its current carrying capacity is. Option A titanium, B manganese, C radium, and D thorium. So see, in TIG welding we are using the non-consumable electrode which is made up of tungsten, which is less expensive and also it is having the less current carrying capacity. And to increase the current carrying capacity of this electrode, that is tungsten electrode, I already mentioned in the TIG welding that around 1 to 2% of thorium is get added into that electrode to increase the current capacity. Please remember. So what is the correct answer here? Yes, option D, thorium is given. So thorium is basically used to increase the current capacity of this tungsten electrode in TIG welding process. So option D is correct. Under optimal conditions of the process, temperatures experienced by the copper piece in the fusion welding, brazing and soldering are such that, I will write here. Under optimal conditions of the process, temperatures experienced by the copper piece in fusion welding, brazing and soldering are such that. So option A is given, T welding greater than T soldering greater than T brazing. T soldering greater than T welding greater than T brazing. Option C, T brazing greater than T welding greater than T soldering. And option D, T welding greater than T brazing greater than T soldering. So this is AME 2016 question for 1 mark. So understand the question. Under optimal conditions of the processes, the temperatures experienced by a copper piece, the temperature experienced by the copper piece in fusion welding, brazing and soldering are such that. So here in different processes, the temperature experienced by this copper is given as, see, temperature in welding is greater than temperature in soldering greater than temperature in brazing. But we know that for the copper, the temperature in welding is greater than temperature in that of brazing, and which is greater than the temperature in the soldering. So very easy. This is D is the correct option. Okay. So these are the one mark questions we have discussed for this welding topic. Okay.